Fantasy Formula One podcast. I'm your host, Paul, and we are going to do the bio for Nico Hulkenberg, the number 27 driver for Haas. He, like his Haas counterpart, he started off at in the 4 millions, right? So 4.3 million. He went up 1.9, about 2 million, and finished the season at 6.2 million. And again, these Haas drivers are they're fine drivers, but Haas as a team just isn't that competitive, and it reflects in the points. And so there is a place for them on the team, and the important thing is that you try not to have these, because there's 5 on the Fantasy Formula One team, at least in 2023. There's 5 slots for cars, 2 for constructors, and there's not enough money to get the best point producers all the way around to fill all the slots. So you have to have some that are more of a gambles. And Haas's were back in 2020 and again in 2023. They were some of my favorite choices for those fillers, because when they do well, they get you the small net points, but they normally don't lose you too many points. And then sometimes that just doesn't come true. So let's go and talk about them race to race. So in Bahrain, Nico Hulkenberg qualified 10, which is wonderful, but finished 15th. And if you know anything I've been harping on next to DNFs, is that losing positions, finishing lower than you qualify equals bad. All right. In the real Formula One, it doesn't necessarily matter. In Fantasy Formula One, it really does matter. So he kicked off the season by losing 5 spots. Bummer. Saudi Arabia qualified 11, finished 12, got 1 point. Okay. In round 3, qualified 7, finished 10. He got 6 FIA points and 11 fantasy points. So this is mind-blowing for people like me who've been following Haas for a while, and suddenly it looks like Nico Hulkenberg could be a contender. He's not trying to go around winning races, but for somebody who's only worth $4.5 million, definitely somebody to keep on your roster, right? So let's see how that goes. Round 4, Azerbaijan. He qualified 17th, finished 17th, got 2 points. Again, we're just looking for the positives, right? In the United States, Miami qualified 12th, finished 15th, finished with a positive 4 points. Again, as soon as he pulls in 4 points, he's like, what, a 0.8 points per million, which is on par with some of the better drivers, right? Some of the more expensive drivers. So this is great. Round 6 didn't take place. Round 7, Monaco. He qualified 18, finished 17, got positive 7 points. Again, it's wonderful. Round 8 in Spain. Qualified 8, finished 15th, got 3 points. Okay, still positive. Round 9 in Canada. Qualified 2nd, finished 15th, got negative 1. But that's only the second time he's been negative all season, right? So he still has 7 positive races. Round 10, Austria. Qualified 8, finished 20th for a DNF on lap 12. I'm not sure what went on with that, but that doesn't help what we're looking for. Round 11 at Great Britain. Qualified 11, finished 13, and got a net 0 points. Bummer. Round 12 in Hungary. Qualified 10, finished 14th, had a net 0 points. Round 13, Belgium, qualified 20, finished 18, had a net 13 points. Guess there must have been a lot of passing going on there. Round 14, he in the Netherlands qualified. Yeah, so I'm not going to worry about what he qualified, but he finished 12th. That's the important thing. He got 11 points. These are not accurate. If you listen to the other podcasts, some of the other podcasts, I'm not sure what order I'm putting these in, but I think some of my, there's a few of my, on my spreadsheet, I messed up some of the qualification standings. So as I'm discovering those, I'm just marking them. I'll go back and change them later. In Italy, Nico Hulkenberg finished 17th with a negative 2 points. In round 16 in Singapore, he finished 13 with 0 points. And did I mark those? There we go. In Japan, round 17, he finished 14th with 10 fantasy points. Round 18, he finished 16th with negative 18 fantasy points. I'm not sure what he did. Oh, okay. So that was a sprint weekend, and he got a DNF on the sprint race as well. So he double stacked the DNF, and that really really hurt. He got negative 18 points for that. During the 2024 season, I'm going to be focusing on the sprint race more. I have the statistics for the sprint race, but I took their points, and because I was going back and redoing it, and I took the points for the entire weekend and just added those up rather than trying to divvy them up between sprint and non-sprint or whatever. So round 19, he finished 11 with 17 points in Texas. Round 20 in Mexico, he finished 13th with 8 points. Round 21 in Brazil, he finished 12th with negative 1 point. That's rough. In round 22 in Las Vegas, he got a DNF. He is one of the drivers, him, Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda, they're all the ones who got hit debris on the track. And because it was a new track. It happens to these road courses, because literally as soon as the race is over, they uncordon off the street and cars go by and then they drive. And then, like if that was a practice, then they block the street off again, go clear it, and let them race. Abu Dhabi, those are not accurate because I promise you he did not make first, and Max Verstappen did not crash out. Nico Hulkenberg, let me double check these right there. Actually, those look good. Okay, and then for Nico, he qualified. He placed 15th in Abu Dhabi, bringing in negative 3 points. And so let's go ahead and check the final season numbers for him. Where did they go? There he is. So, all right. So he raced all 22 races. He had 106 overtakes, so a little about 4.8 overtakes per race. He finished top 10 once, had 1 DNF, and again, that was one that I want to try and strike from the record because it was debris, right? Not necessarily his fault. Finished at 6.2 million with 59 fantasy points. That brings him to a 0.43 points per million. As soon as he, we're just looking at his original value, because if you buy a driver for 5 million at the beginning of the season, and you don't sell him, and that value becomes, 10 million. Well, you only paid that 5 million. If that makes sense. So as soon as he starts out at like 4.6, but then he finishes the points with like a 5.9, it's actually a much better. Excuse me, I apologize. It's late. That's actually a much better points per million for him, but that's not how this is calculated. So, and that's it with Nico Hulkenberg. As with both of the Haas drivers, you got to be careful, because as soon as you really want to have, like a Ferrari and a Red Bull and a Mercedes like on your list, you're going to need to get some more inexpensive drivers. And it's not that they're not capable, right? I know we tend to value athletes and sporting people as like, well, they're not as good as this person, so they're not good. No, these guys are all world class. They're all fully capable. Just the Haas car isn't there, and they're just not a team that is contending for high up in the top 10. But as soon as they don't crash, they're great value drivers. So definitely keep your eye on the Haas, especially now that they're changing team principles, and who knows how their cars are going to be constructed. But definitely keep an eye on them. They could be a huge value, or they could be a huge liability. It depends on how 2024 breaks, but definitely keep an eye on them. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me. I will see you next time. Cheers.